Now, most people think of melatonin as just a sleep hormone, something you might pop in a supplement form when you're jet lagged or restless at night. But here's what many don't realize. Melatonin is not just about falling asleep faster. It's about how well your body repairs and regenerates while you sleep. And there's a critical link between melatonin and something most people overlook, your ability to build and preserve muscle overnight. Research from the journal Endocrine and several others over the past decade reveals that melatonin directly influences muscle recovery by acting on satellite cells, the key players in muscle repair and growth. It also modulates inflammation and oxidative stress, two major barriers to muscular regeneration, especially as we age. And here's the kicker. You don't need to rely on supplements to get this right. Your diet can either supercharge or sabotage your body's natural melatonin production. That's what this episode is about, eating in a way that doesn't just help you sleep deeper, but also sets the stage for profound physiological recovery, muscle growth, and hormonal recalibration. Because the truth is, most of us aren't getting the kind of recovery our nervous system and muscular system need. And that's not just hurting our strength and performance, it's draining our energy, shortening our attention spans, and increasing our risk of metabolic disease and injury. But there's good news. By understanding how melatonin is produced and how it interacts with food, light, and sleep timing, we can take back control. If you want to naturally increase melatonin and by extension improve muscle recovery during sleep, you have to start at the source. And the source is an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid, meaning your body cannot produce it on its own. It has to come from your diet. And while it's often associated with post-Thanksgiving drowsiness, the science behind how tryptophan works is far more compelling and far more powerful than most people realize. Here's what the research shows. Tryptophan is the precursor to serotonin, and serotonin is the precursor to melatonin. That means your ability to make melatonin depends on how much tryptophan is available in your system and how efficiently it crosses into the brain. A 2002 study published in Nutritional Neuroscience found that dietary intake of tryptophan significantly increases melatonin levels in the evening, especially when paired with carbohydrates. Why carbs? Because insulin helps transport tryptophan across the blood-brain barrier, giving it a clearer path to becoming serotonin and then melatonin. But here's where things get even more interesting. Tryptophan doesn't just help you fall asleep. It also supports anabolic recovery during sleep by helping to lower nighttime cortisol and promote a parasympathetic rest and digest state, the exact physiological window your body needs for muscle protein synthesis. In other words, if your evening meal is deficient in tryptophan, you may be missing the foundational ingredient for not only good sleep, but also optimal muscle regeneration. So what does this look like in practice? A simple tool to apply is this. In your last meal of the day, ideally 2 to 3 hours before sleep, include a tryptophan-rich protein source along with a small to moderate amount of complex carbohydrates. Here are a few examples of foods high in tryptophan: turkey and chicken breast, eggs, pumpkin seeds, tofu and tempeh, salmon. Pairing any of these with slow digesting carbs like sweet potato, quinoa, or even a small serving of whole oats helps usher tryptophan into the brain, kicking off the serotonin-melatonin production cascade. To make this even more effective, timing matters. If you've ever had a high-protein dinner but still had trouble falling asleep, it could be because of an imbalance in amino acid competition. Tryptophan competes with other large neutral amino acids to cross into the brain, meaning if your meal is loaded with protein but low in carbs, tryptophan may never make it past the blood-brain barrier. That's why the balance, a protein source plus a small amount of complex carbs, is so important. And if you're someone who trains in the evening or eats dinner late, this protocol becomes even more valuable. It not only helps replenish amino acids post-workout, but also ensures your nervous system shifts into recovery mode. Let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this matter? Because what's happening in your brain during the 90 minutes before bed, including the availability of tryptophan, directly influences the quality of deep sleep you'll get. And deep sleep is where most of your muscle regeneration and hormonal repair takes place. Growth hormone spikes during the first sleep cycle, and if you're not producing enough melatonin, that entire cascade can be muted. So this isn't just about sleep, it's about optimizing the repair blueprint your body runs every night. Before we move on, ask yourself, are you feeding your sleep hormones what they need to function, or are you skipping the nutrients your body relies on to regenerate? If there's one food that deserves the title of sleep and recovery superfood, it's the tart cherry. Unlike most fruits, tart cherries are among the very few whole foods that contain actual melatonin. Not just precursors like tryptophan, but the hormone itself. And this isn't just folklore or wellness hype. It's backed by some compelling science. A 2012 study published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that participants who consumed tart cherry juice concentrate twice a day experienced significant increases in urinary melatonin levels and total sleep time compared to a placebo group. The increase in sleep duration averaged about 84 minutes. A remarkably large effect for a natural intervention. But that's just the beginning. What's happening in your brain and body when you consume tart cherries is twofold. First, you're directly supporting melatonin production. Second, you're activating a powerful anti-inflammatory response, which is critical for nighttime muscle repair. Let's take that second part seriously for a moment. Post-exercise inflammation is natural. It's part of how your muscles adapt and grow, but excessive or chronic inflammation, especially in the evening, can blunt recovery, disturb sleep, and reduce growth hormone release. This is where tart cherries really shine. A study from the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science and Sports in 2010 showed that runners who drank tart cherry juice for a week before and during a long-distance relay race had significantly less muscle soreness and strength loss than those who drank a placebo. The researchers attributed this to the fruit's high levels of anthocyanins, antioxidant compounds that reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in muscle tissue. So you're not just sleeping better, you're repairing better. A simple tool to apply here is this. Have a small serving of tart cherry juice concentrate, about 1 to 2 tablespoons, diluted in water, roughly 60 to 90 minutes before bed. This timing aligns with melatonin's natural rise and can help signal to your body that it's time to initiate the sleep repair cycle. If you prefer whole foods over juice, frozen tart cherries or unsweetened dried Montmorency cherries are also excellent options. Just be mindful of portion sizes, as dried fruits are calorie dense. Here's why this matters practically. Many people struggle to wind down at night. Even if you've done everything right, turned off your screens, dimmed the lights, and stopped caffeine, your body may still be missing the biochemical signals it needs to enter deep rest. Tart cherries act as both a cue and a catalyst for that shift. Now, you might be wondering, can I just take a melatonin pill? You can, but food-based melatonin comes with an entourage effect. It's packaged with anti-inflammatory polyphenols, naturally balanced levels of serotonin precursors, and buffering nutrients that make it gentler on your system. Synthetic melatonin supplements often overshoot the ideal dose, which for most people is just 0.3 to 0.5 milligrams, leading to grogginess or melatonin resistance over time. Whole foods allow your body to interact with melatonin more organically. And there's another layer here, consistency. Your melatonin rhythm is highly trainable. Consuming tart cherries at the same time each night, particularly as part of a wind down ritual, helps anchor your circadian rhythm. And once your circadian rhythm is stable, your body begins to expect sleep and recovery at the same time every night, which amplifies both. To ask yourself, are you giving your body the nighttime signals it needs to shut down stress and shift into regeneration? Or are you leaving sleep and recovery up to chance? By combining the amino acid foundation of tryptophan with the direct hormone support of trip cherries, you're not just aiding sleep, you're priming your nervous system and muscular system to repair while you rest. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. There's more where this came from, and this channel is dedicated to giving you science-backed tools that truly change the way your body and brain perform. Next, we'll explore a surprising culprit that often sabotages this entire process and how managing your blood sugar in the evening could be the difference between growth and breakdown overnight. Here's a surprising fact most people don't realize. A blood sugar spike at night, even from something as seemingly innocent as a banana or a glass of juice, can suppress your body's melatonin production and disrupt your deep sleep cycles. Why does this matter? Because melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it's also a signal for your body to initiate repair processes, including the release of growth hormone, the rebuilding of muscle tissue, and the detoxification of your brain via the glymphatic system. When you eat a high glycemic food too close to bedtime, what happens in your body is this. Your blood glucose rises, triggering a release of insulin. That insulin surge helps clear sugar from the bloodstream, but it also interferes with your pineal gland's ability to release melatonin. At the same time, your body becomes more metabolically active, which runs counter to the slowdown and repair state you want for optimal recovery. One study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that higher evening blood glucose levels were associated with delayed melatonin onset and shorter sleep duration. Another 2015 study in sleep health observed that high glycemic meals eaten within 4 hours of bedtime were linked to increased sleep fragmentation and reduced REM sleep. So what's the tool here? It's simple but powerful. Avoid high glycemic carbohydrates within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime. This includes foods like white rice, white bread, sugary snacks, sweetened yogurt, fruit juices, and even some high sugar fruits like grapes or bananas. Instead, opt for low glycemic, protein-rich or fiber-complete eating foods if you need a nighttime snack. Something like a small serving of Greek yogurt with chia seeds or a boiled egg with a few almonds. These keep insulin levels steady and support amino acid availability for overnight repair. And here's a practical framework I often suggest. Front load your carbs, taper your sugar. That means emphasizing your complex carbohydrate intake earlier in the day when your insulin sensitivity is highest and gradually tapering down as the evening progresses. This doesn't mean you have to avoid carbs altogether at night. In fact, a moderate dose of complex carbohydrates like a small sweet potato or lentils with dinner can even help with sleep by increasing tryptophan availability. The key is avoiding the sharp insulin spikes that come from sugar or refined starches late in the evening. Let's connect this back to muscle regeneration. Your body does most of its muscle rebuilding during deep sleep. Growth hormone, one of the most anabolic tissue repairing hormones you produce, is secreted primarily in the early phases of slow wave sleep. And what sets the stage for that? Stable blood sugar, low inflammation, and rising melatonin. When glucose and insulin are elevated, growth hormone release is blunted. When melatonin is suppressed, deep sleep is delayed. And when deep sleep is delayed, recovery takes a hit. So here's a question worth asking yourself. Are your evening food choices aligning with the recovery you want? Or are they silently sabotaging your ability to regenerate? Making this one shift, reducing sugar and refined carbs at night, can radically improve your sleep quality and your body's ability to rebuild muscle tissue overnight. It's not flashy, but it's real science that yields real results. In our next section, we'll dive into a deeply underappreciated connection, how magnesium and glycine, two key nutrients, create a neurochemical environment that not only accelerates sleep onset, but also enhances muscular relaxation, and tissue repair. But first, if this kind of practical, science-backed content is making your evening routine clearer and your health journey more empowered, go ahead and give this video a like. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more tools that help you optimize from the inside out. If you've ever struggled to fall asleep or wake up feeling like your muscles are stiff or inflamed, there's a good chance your nervous system isn't transitioning fully into a parasympathetic, restorative state before bed. The question is, how do you guide your brain and body into that calm, recovery-ready mode? Two of the most effective science-supported nutrients for doing this are magnesium and glycine. Think of them as the gatekeepers of deep sleep and muscular repair. Let's start with magnesium. Magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, but its role in calming the nervous system is what makes it so valuable at night. Specifically, magnesium helps regulate GABA, the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. When GABA levels rise, your brain waves shift from beta to alpha and eventually to delta, the rhythm of deep sleep. That state is essential for the secretion of growth hormone, the repair of muscle microtears, and the rebalancing of hormones like cortisol and testosterone. In fact, a randomized clinical trial published in Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that older adults who supplemented with magnesium, 500 milligrams/day, had significantly improved sleep efficiency, longer sleep time, and reduced nighttime waking. Now, let's talk about glycine, an amino acid that doesn't get nearly enough attention. What's happening in your brain when glycine is present at night is this: it helps lower your core body temperature, which is a key trigger for sleep onset. Lower body temperature signals the hypothalamus to initiate sleep cycles. Glycine also supports NMDA receptor function in the brain, modulating excitatory activity, in essence, helping to quiet the mental noise that keeps you awake. In a 2007 study published in Sleep and Biological Rhythms, subjects who took 3 grams of glycine before bed fell asleep faster, experienced better sleep quality, and reported less fatigue the next day, even when sleep was restricted. But here's how to put this into action. A simple science-based evening protocol. Take 300 and 400 mg of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate about 60 minutes before bed. Pair it with 3 grams of glycine, which you can get in powder form or by consuming gelatin-rich foods like bone broth or collagen peptide. Magnesium glycinate is especially useful here because it combines magnesium with glycine, creating a synergistic effect that promotes both neuromuscular relaxation and thermoregulatory balance. And unlike melatonin supplements, which can dysregulate your internal rhythm over time, these nutrients work with your body's natural systems. You can think of this like preparing a stage for recovery. Magnesium dims the lights, glycine quiets the audience, and your brain steps into deep, regenerative sleep, exactly the environment your muscles need to repair and grow stronger. You might be wondering, can I get these from food? Yes, to some extent. Magnesium-rich foods include dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and black beans. Glycine can be found in collagen-rich cuts of meat, skin on poultry, and gelatin. But if you're dealing with stress, intense training, or poor sleep, supplementation can help you reach the therapeutic threshold more reliably. Here's a coaching insight. Many high performers focus on training hard or eating enough protein, but they miss the window where true gains happen: during sleep. And your ability to enter and stay in that regenerative state often comes down to your micronutrient support. If this resonates with you and you're realizing just how interconnected sleep, muscle, and mindset really are, go ahead and subscribe. We dive into topics like this every week, bringing you practical tools rooted in real science. Next, we'll explore a key molecule that operates behind the scenes, one that determines how efficiently your muscles rebuild during sleep. It's often ignored in mainstream health advice, but may be the missing link between food, sleep, and next day performance. Most people think melatonin is something you take, a supplement you buy at the store. But in truth, melatonin is something your brain makes. And how well it makes it depends on what you eat, especially in the hours before bed. The key lies in an amino acid called tryptophan. It's an essential building block your body uses to produce serotonin. And from there, melatonin. Let's walk through the actual pathway because it's one of the most elegant processes in your body's neurochemical orchestra. When you eat tryptophan-rich foods, your body converts tryptophan into 5-hydroxytryptophan in 5-HTP, which then becomes serotonin. With the help of darkness and the presence of certain enzymes activated by your internal circadian clock, serotonin is then converted into melatonin in the pineal gland. And here's why this matters. Your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep isn't just about shutting your eyes. It's about whether your brain has the raw materials and the right hormonal timing to activate this process. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that participants who consumed tryptophan-enriched cereals had significantly better sleep quality with longer REM cycles and reduced time to fall asleep. This wasn't due to a sedative effect. It was due to enhanced natural melatonin production. So where do you get tryptophan? Here are some of the richest sources. Turkey, yes, that post-Thanksgiving nap is backed by science. Eggs, particularly the yolks, pumpkin seeds, tofu and soybeans, oats and bananas. But there's a catch, and this is important. Tryptophan needs carbohydrates to cross the blood-brain barrier effectively. That's because tryptophan competes with other large amino acids like leucine and tyrosine for transport. When you eat a small portion of complex carbohydrates, say oats or a banana, insulin helps shuttle competing amino acids into muscle, allowing more tryptophan to enter the brain. So if you're doing an ultra low carb or high protein meal before bed, you might actually be blocking your own melatonin production. Here's a simple science-supported protocol. About 1-2 hours before bed, consume a light meal or snack that contains both tryptophan and complex carbohydrates. Good examples, Greek yogurt with banana, a small bowl of oatmeal with pumpkin seeds, or a couple of eggs with a slice of whole grain toast. This gentle combination supports serotonin production during the early evening and boosts melatonin as you approach bedtime, helping synchronize your circadian rhythm naturally. What's happening in your brain when this works? You'll feel a subtle wave of calm followed by an increasing sense of drowsiness, not like a crash, but more like the lights dimming in a theater. That's melatonin doing its job, supported by the right nutrition at the right time. Now, many people ask, should I just take melatonin pills instead? Here's the problem. Exogenous melatonin can be effective in very specific contexts like jet lag or shift work. But for regular use, it often disrupts your natural circadian rhythm and suppresses your own production over time. Plus, the dosing in most over-the-counter products is far too high. While the body typically produces about 9.3 milligrams of melatonin, most supplements contain 3 to 10 milligrams, up to 30 times the natural dose. Supporting your body's internal melatonin system is a smarter, safer, and more sustainable strategy. This isn't just about sleep, it's about unlocking the hormonal cascade that governs muscle repair, immune restoration, and even emotional regulation. So tonight, think of your dinner or bedtime snack as a signal to your brain. I'm ready to rest, recover, and rebuild. Let's imagine your brain is a factory and melatonin is one of its premium products. You've got tryptophan coming in as raw material. You've got serotonin assembled in the intermediate stages. But there's one critical detail most people overlook. Who's overseeing this entire conversion process? The answer is vitamin B6, the quiet catalyst behind the scenes. Vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine, plays a central role in over 100 enzymatic reactions in the body. But when it comes to sleep and muscle regeneration, its role is both subtle and profound. Here's what the research shows. B6 is essential for converting tryptophan into serotonin and subsequently into melatonin. Without sufficient B6, this conversion slows down or stalls, meaning your brain may have all the building blocks it needs, but still fall short of producing enough melatonin to support high-quality sleep. In a study published in the Journal of Neuroscience Research, animals with B6 deficiency showed marked reductions in melatonin synthesis, even when tryptophan levels were adequate. That's like having all the lumber and nails to build a house, but no tools or instructions to put it together. But there's more. B6 also plays a powerful role in muscle recovery and protein metabolism during deep sleep, particularly in stages 3 and 4 of non-REM. Your body ramps up growth hormone release, repairs tissue, and synthesizes new muscle fibers. B6 helps facilitate amino acid metabolism, ensuring your muscles are actually able to rebuild from the day's activity. Think of it this way. If melatonin is the night shift manager telling the body it's time to rest and repair, B6 is the operations specialist, making sure the tools and materials get delivered to the right place at the right time. So where can you get it? Some of the best natural sources of vitamin B6 include chickpeas, one of the highest plant sources, salmon and tuna, bananas, fortified cereals, spinach and leafy greens, poultry, especially turkey and chicken breast. Now, here's a practical tool. If you're aiming to optimize melatonin and muscle regeneration overnight, try including one B6-rich food source in your evening meal or snack, ideally alongside tryptophan and complex carbs. For example, a bowl of oatmeal topped with banana and flaxseed, grilled salmon with sweet potato, chickpea salad with olive oil and spinach, a turkey sandwich on whole grain bread. This isn't just about nutritional balance. It's about neurochemical support for your circadian system. Now, let me address something I often hear. Can't I just take a B-complex supplement? You can. And in some cases, supplementation may be appropriate, especially if you're deficient or under high stress. But food-based sources are often better tolerated and more bioavailable in the context of sleep regulation because they deliver nutrients in combination with other cofactors your body needs for absorption. Plus, meals signal more than just nutrient intake. They communicate timing cues to your body's internal clock. Eating B6-rich foods in the evening helps reinforce the message that it's time to transition into recovery mode. If you've been struggling with shallow sleep, frequent wake-ups, or waking up tired even after a full night, this could be one of the hidden missing links. Here's the deeper insight. Optimizing sleep is not just about avoiding blue light or taking melatonin pills. It's about creating the neurochemical conditions that support your body's own rhythms through food, light, behavior, and timing. When you understand how to nourish your sleep architecture, you don't just sleep better, you recover faster, you grow stronger, you become more emotionally balanced, metabolically efficient, and mentally sharp the next day. That's the power of small science-based choices that align with your biology. Think back over the last week. How many mornings did you wake up truly rested? Not just from a full night's sleep, but from sleep that actually repaired you. And that's the real goal, because high quality sleep isn't just the absence of fatigue. It's the presence of deep recovery, hormonal balance, and neurological recalibration. And every part of that process is built or broken by what you do before your head hits the pillow. Let's recap the 6 key science-backed shifts we explored today. Melatonin isn't just for sleep. It triggers muscle repair and immune coordination, especially when produced endogenously in sync with your circadian rhythm. Tryptophan-rich foods, combined with complex carbohydrates, act as the raw materials for melatonin synthesis. And the timing of that intake evening is critical for optimal results. Magnesium doesn't just help you fall asleep, it activates parasympathetic pathways, calms neuromuscular tension, and enhances sleep architecture. Magnesium glycinate or threonate are best for brain and body bioavailability. Tart, cherries, and kiwi have been clinically shown to increase natural melatonin production and improve sleep onset, efficiency, and duration, a simple, powerful dietary intervention. Collagen plus glycine taken in the evening can lower core body temperature, deepen slow wave sleep, and accelerate nighttime tissue regeneration. Vitamin B6 is the unsung hero that facilitates serotonin and melatonin synthesis and supports protein metabolism during muscle rebuilding overnight. All of this leads to a simple but profound conclusion. You can eat your way into better sleep, not through gimmicks, not through deprivation, but through the intelligent application of neuroscience and nutritional timing. Here's what I invite you to do tonight. Pick just one of the tools we discussed and apply it. Maybe that means you end your day with a small bowl of oatmeal topped with sliced banana and ground flaxseed, fueling tryptophan uptake and B6-driven conversion. Maybe it's a scoop of collagen and warm tea before bed, or a magnesium glycinate capsule 90 minutes before lights out. Maybe it's just swapping your evening snack for a handful of tart cherries or kiwi slices. Whatever it is, start small, but start deliberately. Because what you do tonight doesn't just affect your sleep, it affects your hormone regulation, your tissue regeneration, your cognitive sharpness tomorrow, and ultimately, your trajectory of aging and performance over the long haul. Your biology responds to consistency. So the more often you align your behavior with your circadian rhythm, the more your body will reward you with resilience, clarity, and strength. This is how we take science from the lab to your life. If this episode helped you rethink the way you nourish your nights, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation in the comments. Tell me, which of today's tools are you most excited to try? Your engagement helps this content reach more people, but more than that, it tells the algorithm that this kind of science-backed, human-centered content matter. Let's build a community around evidence-based tools that actually improve our lives. And until next time, stay curious, stay consistent, and remember, every night is a new opportunity to heal, grow, and rise stronger.